City Commission meeting here on November the 14th. Our first order of business, we're going to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is our consent agenda.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
I second.
There is a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Item number 5 on the regular agenda, we're going to consider a city manager employment contract.
And I can lead that off, Commission and Public. As you're aware, this has been a multiple month process in terms of searching for a replacement for a new city manager. Working with staff, we've worked on a contract. It is now available. It was not in your agenda packet, but for anyone that would like to see it, I do have hard copies here, and would announce that the City Commission directed staff to negotiate with Daniela Rivas. She's currently Assistant City Administrator in McPherson. She has previous local government experience in Columbus, Park City, and Winfield. The contract is a 1-year term. Most of the terms are carryover from our previous city manager contract. It does include a residency requirement moving within the city of Newton within August 1st. Staff is excited to move forward, and I would hand it over to the mayor if you have any comments. We would ask for approval of the contract, which you've all received, and I have, again, hard copies here for anyone that's interested.
I would like to say that this was a very all-inclusive process where we had a committee of citizens, we had all of the supervisors of their respective divisions here in the city, and then we had the 5 of us involved, and every group chose Daniela, and she rose to the top of their choice, and so I think we all feel very good about what's that of our new city manager, and that I think she's going to be a really good fit. She has family here in Newton, so she has roots here from many years ago, and I think her personality and the skill set that she brings to the table is going to be just a really good choice. So I very much look forward to it. Any of the rest of you like to comment?
I was pleased to see her references. Her references lined up with what we saw in the interview process. So that was encouraging. Encouraging for me. I just felt like that was a real important part of it.
Her excitement is infectious.
Her
Yes.
enthusiasm is infectious.
Enthusiasm is she'll be a great cheerleader for the city of Newton. I don't know if she's a baseball fan, but
Well, and
we'll find out.
And I think the other thing that a lot of citizens, and we've all heard this feedback, is that with no disrespect to former city managers, but living here in the city limits, which she is going to do, and so she'll be right in there with us, paying all the same fees that we pay for everything, and going uptown and being at the local restaurants and just being part of the community. I think that's going to be a real positive. So.
I should noted the contract's already been signed by Daniela. It would take action from the City Commission to make it effective. Her first date would be January 8th of 2024. So we would ask for a motion to approve the contract. I'll pass it out, and again, if anyone would like a copy, let me know and I'll get it to you.
Okay. I would move that we accept that contract, or we approve the contract.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Item number 6, we're going to receive a draft ordinance for food truck requirements and licensing. Chris?
Yeah, and I can kick this off. This is continued discussion. As you're aware, City Commission directed staff to come up with some reasonable food truck regulations. They're taking the form of this draft ordinance that was in your agenda packet. I would stand for any questions. I can give a brief overview. It does include a pre-license inspection. It has certain location restrictions, hour of operation, number of requirements pertaining to safety cleanliness, which was, obviously a priority of the city commission and of staff, while also making it business-friendly. It is a draft, but we're looking for feedback if you've had a chance to review it, questions, concerns. It's really been a discussion team effort to kind of tweak it. It's not in a perfect form, but it's kind of a baseline. If there's nothing that stands out, we would continue to have some staff meetings and bring a revised version.
I appreciated the protection of the established businesses in our community with regard to setbacks or distances from existing establishments or setbacks from events. I mean, it looked to be well drafted, so I appreciated seeing that.
I would note that one concept that we've discussed, and I didn't see it when I was reviewing it tonight, but was some reciprocity in terms of if a food truck were to have approval from another municipality that met our same standards, we could streamline that process. So that is another concept that we've been kicking around as staff. We do want to make it as easy as possible for someone to get a license while still maintaining those standards.
That was neat. That was cool.
I would just like to know the story behind why every unit shall be stationary, why vending
Yeah,
is included.
Oh, yeah. Every rule exists because somebody did
Needless
it.
to say, right?
Yeah.
That one does jump out.
Other than that, I thought it was good. Yeah.
Okay. We can remove that restriction.
No, leave it, because we may need it.
You just want something salacious to talk about, don't you? Okay, so no action.
No action. If you have comments as it goes, as you have a chance to read it and
I
hear
thought we did.
public comment, yeah,
I would
we'll bring
agree
it back
with
at
Rich.
a future meeting for action.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, item number 7, we're going to consider changes to the street maintenance area. Suzanne?
Yes, Commissioners. I've given you quite a bit of information, and I'm just going to kind of go over a bit of it here this evening. We talked about changing our street maintenance areas when we were going through the budgeting process last year for the 2024 budget, and just wanted to bring a bunch of facts to you as we discuss this. For the last 33-plus years, that's how the memory of current staff can recall, we have had 6 main areas for street maintenance. And when it started, it was just to try and get some kind of pavement maintenance for every area, or for every street within that area. And then over time, it's kind of changed a bit, where we've really made it a more focused effort in that maintenance area every year, trying to get curb and gutter done in that area, and really using all of our funds and focus in that specific maintenance area for each year. And as you know, we even added in the tree trimming just in the last few years, and we do that the maintenance area prior, or the year prior to that maintenance area coming, so that we can have trees trimmed, so that if we're doing overlay, it's not going to hit the trees that are hanging low.
Yeah.
We also, we analyze the pavement every year prior, and then the spring of, when we're going to be doing pavement maintenance. And we're putting eyes on it to determine what type of treatment that pavement is going to need, whether it's crack sealing, slurry seal, overlay, whatever. Back in about 1997, 1998, we discussed with the city commission at the time that the funds in the operating budget were not sufficient for addressing every street in the maintenance area. Now, I get that's been a long time ago, but at that time, the commission agreed, and we pulled out more arterial streets, major collectors, and those were handled with capital improvement funds instead of in the operating budget. So basically, more residential streets, or, really a lot smaller collectors and in commercial areas would be handled with the operating budget funds, and then capital projects, just like we're going to talk about tonight, the C-CLIP project on K-15, that's handled out of different funds. And because we were trying to get everything done within that public right-of-way, it made that important to kind of pull those out. Since we began the 6-area program, we have added many miles of streets to our city. And just in the last 20 years, we've added over 62 miles of paved streets due to development. And many of those core area streets, so kind of where the older areas are of town, they are needing more than just preventative maintenance. Some of the areas are getting pretty skewed when you're considering the square footage of pavement per area and overall treatments that are needed. We began reviewing a change even prior to the discussion in the budget process last year, especially on the south end of town, needing to break that into more than one area. The problem is when you start breaking these existing paving maintenance areas into more areas, then that means it's more years before you get back around to the very first one that you started. And it is a proven fact that when you put off that pavement maintenance, if you can't get to everything, that it definitely increases costs. If you delay $1 spent now on maintenance, it can increase up to $10 in the future. And definitely, it depends on what kind of condition that street is in and how it was constructed originally. A lot of our core area streets and a lot of the residential stuff more on the west side of town, it has very little base work was done, if any, and it was very, very thin pavement. So we're seeing a lot more failures in that area. So all of this stuff that is over 30 years old, we've been trying to patch and keep going, and then we do some overlays as we can afford those within our budgeted item. But typically, you're looking at the industry standard is about 15 plus years of life for asphalt pavement. For 20, you're looking at a little more, anywhere from 20 to 40, depending on what type of concrete pavement you're looking at. Over the past several years, it's been difficult to stay within our needed maintenance due to increases in material costs. And I've tried to show you a bit what we've been looking at, and I just looked at it from the last 23 years. Annual overlay costs have increased greater than 273%. And definitely you would expect an increase, but when you compare the increase to the increase in the budget, it's significantly less, so we're able to get less square yards of pavement that we're addressing each year. So, with all of that said, and analyzing all of our street areas and our pavement, we tried to get things a little bit more equal as far as splitting up the maintenance areas. We split the southern area into two and then tried to move the boundaries of the other maintenance areas. So the southern area, which is shown on the map that's in your packet, the proposed changes. So the proposed new area is shown in your packet. And that's with 7 areas. We're proposing adding an additional area. And we split up the southern area, but then move the boundary limits on some of the others, trying to square up the areas and balance out the square yardage of pavement so that we are kind of approaching it in a little bit fairer method and more equal method every year. The other thing that we would like to do along with this is if you are willing to propose the 7 maintenance area, we're going to change a little bit how we do pavement maintenance. And instead of doing so much slurry seal, we're going to decrease the amount that we're slurry sealing each year, because in these older areas we are seeing some streets that are definitely aging and need more than a slurry seal. And we are going to utilize some of those funds and increase the amount of dollars that we're spending on annual overlay and utilize our in-house staff to do the base work. So they would do some removal and then put back in some crushed concrete or rock with tensar for base and use our in-house staff for the labor. And we'll purchase those materials out of our operating budget, but then move some of the funds from slurry seal over to overlay and try to gradually get a few streets done each year. We've done, maybe 1 block, 2 blocks the most in the past, but get a little bit more done. And we wouldn't be asking for additional funds in the 2024 and probably 2025 budget for this, as long as material costs don't go crazy higher on us. And we'd like to look at that, and at the same time, we would like to look at having a pavement management software available to us, because right now we're just doing this with all of our eyes and throwing it into a spreadsheet, and there are some better methods to do that. Cities our size and larger all are using a pavement management software so that you can analyze what needs to be done and really look at your budgeting a little bit better. Along with that, we need to have a full pavement survey done. And so we've showed you here kind of a draft RFP for that. And so along with all of this, we are looking at three asks for you this evening as we look at the changes to a 7-area street maintenance plan that would begin in 2024. And to purchase the pavement management software, we would purchase that out of our street operating budget, and then perform a pavement condition survey, and we would ask that that be paid out of, and Dawn and I have talked about this a bit, out of our economic development funds, because this is infrastructure that definitely supports all of those items throughout the city, because we're looking at pavement everywhere. And if you are favorable, we would plan to begin all of this in 2024. Do you have any questions?
So do we have just spreadsheets today, or is that what that Street Saver is, or what's Street Saver?
That is a brand, one brand of these types of pavement management software. We don't have any today.
So, I mean, I'm all for having the tools to help us work better with the money. I would hope that it could actually help us proactively identify some of these, and rather than working at a zone, maybe target. I'm definitely for the software.
I think what it will do is help us to target specific streets within those maintenance areas and be able to better spend our dollars.
So you'll be able to do it by creating the Area 7 and keeping the dollars the same, the budget the same. Is that partly?
On that one line item in the
Yeah.
street maintenance budget, yeah. This is a line item.
Okay, is that because that's a newer area?
That is a
Partly?
newer area, but because of all of the things I mentioned of how we're going to approach street maintenance
Okay.
just slightly differently, that is why we think we'll be able to do that.
Okay.
And the zones are set up in the order so that those needing the most help are earlier in the list?
No, they're set up in the same direction that we have
Same
been
rotation.
doing them, because if we don't do that, we could have some streets that we're going to skip for 14 years, and that won't work well. It's still Area 7, even though it's the higher number, is where we should be in 2024.
Okay.
So we'd be starting with Area 7 in 2024. You can see from the chart I put in the memo, and then we would rotate back up to Area 1.
So sewer is on the same type of a grid. The sewer, don't you have your sewer? Seems like they had 7 areas already.
Yes, we try, like I had said at the very beginning, we try to look at everything we can in that area that's in the public right-of-way. We can't always get to all of those utility items that we need to do. We try to do the repairs to streets or to the utilities prior to doing a big reconstruct project.
So you really have to juggle when you're doing the sewers or the areas, and then you mentioned the trees too.
When
So
we
if-
can, definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It doesn't always work out that way, especially when you're having a whole lot of breaks or major repairs, or when you end up with some grant funding or something that's going to address a specific project. You may get them out of sync, but
Well, I would support the software as well.
I would too.
Yeah. You're making decisions with data instead of just
Good.
figure out what's best.
and we're utilizing a similar method now, but it's not as analytical.
Do you just want head nods from us tonight, or do you want us to take formal?
I would like you to approve the 7-area street maintenance plan and the purchase of the management software and the pavement condition survey.
So 3 separate,
I'll
All
make
of
a-
them?
one would do it?
I'll make a motion for the street maintenance area, the approval of the software, and the third item that Suzanne mentioned.
Second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Item number 8, we're going to consider the 2024 budget amendment notice and set the hearing date and time to conduct a public hearing. Donna?
Good evening, Commissioners. Once again, I'm having to bring back a fund to be amended, but this is always for good. The golf course has had another year of unprecedented usage, partly due because lack of rain and just people wanting to get out there, and it's such a beautiful course. But because they use it more, we need to pay for payroll, we need some supplies and commodities. And I thought it would be good just to kind of have Chris come up right quick and just explain a little bit of why we're needing this budget. It's going to be a total of $200,000. And as of the end of October, we already have over budget of $290,000 in revenue. So we can cover it with new revenue.
Thank you, Donna. Good evening, Mayor. Yeah, Chris Toohey, Regional Manager with Kemper Sports. Great to be here tonight. It's always nice to have these kind of discussions when we're talking about raising the expense ceiling for the good of the position of the golf course financially. As Donna had mentioned, we're on record pace. The golf course is going to have its highest revenue generation since we've opened. And, you know, we can contribute a lot of things. We can contribute the COVID impact on golf. We can contribute, you know, the weather that we've seen this year. And we can certainly contribute some of the staff that came tonight. I'd like to point out 2 of my staff members have brand new shoes, and I still have yet to get my shoes. So we had just enough surplus in the budget to take care of them. But no, listen, this is a good problem. And, you know, it's Donna had mentioned, you know, when we have high demand, when rounds and when revenue is outperforming plan, we need our people and we need more expenses. Probably the main driver in the expenses outperforming plan is the supplies and the concession sales. We're on record pace in merchandise sales and food and beverage sales, of which cost of goods follows, and that's a hard cost that we realize on our P&L. So it's pretty self-explanatory. But as Donna mentioned, if anybody has any questions, you know, specifically regarding any line items or, you know, anything in general on the golf course, I stand to answer any questions.
Pretty simple.
It is.
Good position.
It's a very good position to have because, you know, again, revenues outperform expenses. We're bringing more net to the bottom line.
The farmers were begging for rain, and the golf course was saying, no, no, no.
We're almost there. We're almost starting to beg for rain because the ponds are getting a little bit low. But no, I mean, the golf course is, it's really incredible. And to Donna's credit, I mean, she's been incredible to work with. And we've, I think for 2024, just to touch on that, I think we've come up with a plan that we think we're not going to have to come back and have this discussion. We've plugged in a pretty robust expense. We don't think we're going to get to, but revenues just continue to soar, and we're getting almost to a level I didn't think we would ever get to. So again, that's a good problem to have. Really good problem. So,
Yes, we hope we don't see you here next year for this.
yeah,
Yeah, we hope we got
at
it.
least for not saying revenues won't outperform expenses. But no, we're in a great spot, and really, I mean it when I say I can't thank you all enough for your support, and everyone in this room. It's been an incredible project.
Well, you and your team have certainly done an amazing job over the last number of years.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate that, Mayor.
The community thanks you.
Well, I thank them, and I thank the community, and I thank you. So really, they work incredible. Appreciate it.
So I just need an emotion to approve the time of the public hearing for next meeting, the 28th, at 7 p.m.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you all.
Item number 9, we're going to consider a resolution prohibiting the use of tobacco products in city parks. Chris?
Yeah, I can tee this up. Ongoing discussion the city commission's had regarding the ban of tobacco products at city parks. The direction from the commission was to bring something back. We have now done that. This is a resolution that adopts a policy. As you recall, this includes not just cigarettes, but a multitude of tobacco products at city parks. We would, because this policy meets the threshold of KDHE, we would get free signage. City's costs would be limited to installation and upkeep. They're showing a picture of the parks that would be placed near playgrounds and city parks. Per that direction, this is not a criminal infraction. It's through voluntary compliance. I would stand for any questions on the policy or resolution. I don't know if there's any public comment, or Suzanne, if you have anything to add to that.
The only thing Chris mentioned, we would put these near playgrounds in the parks. I mean, that would be our intent.
Do we know, has the county done anything at their parks?
I don't know that,
Not yet?
not yet.
No, she knows.
If you're agreeable to the terms of the policy, appropriate motion would be to approve the resolution. But again, any questions or amendments, we're happy to do that. But I think it sets forth the policy that you directed.
And if you do approve, we probably would not get the signage and be able to get it up until probably later in the first quarter.
And I was going to say, it is a delayed effect. The policy actually takes place January 1st, and we receive that feedback from our partners that actually helps in terms of getting the word out and communication. So it would be effective January 1 of the new year.
That's good to know. You have a resolution?
Yes, it is G1328.
I would move that we approve Resolution G1328.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Item number 10, we're going to consider an ordinance establishing hours for city parks.
Yes, Commissioners, on October 28th, we discussed establishing hours. And the reason we brought this up is because we had a significant uptick in vandalism in the city parks, ranging from graphic graffiti to just destruction of equipment and plumbing items. So we talked about that, and you suggested the 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. time frame. I think I had a fat finger and put the 5 a.m. in the cover memo,
I
but
thought it was 5.
I think there was some discussion from the bench for both. So we can, whatever you like on that. I think I was a little bit unsure. I thought maybe Clint had made some comments of maybe opening it up to 4 a.m. I wasn't sure if there was a consensus. So we can surely tweak that as you see fit.
I'm good with 5.
I'm not going to be
I get up at
4 or
4:30,
5, so
so-
it doesn't really matter to me. You're not going to catch me out running at 4:30, so. I think after I left, I thought about it, and, I don't think we have to worry about our police chasing someone down that's jogging at 4:45 in the morning. I'm fine with 5, yeah.
I think they're going to let a jogger jog.
Right.
And I think they're
Yeah,
going
you're right.
For the
to talk to
tr-
somebody
Right.
otherwise.
for the trails and pathways, and really for all the parks, we did add a provision that, running, passing through is okay so long as you're not loitering. And we thought that was maybe a good compromise to address some of those scenarios.
Because those bike paths are actually a linear park, and I think we had that
Absolutely.
discussion.
we want people to
Yeah.
use those for being able to get across the city.
the other important piece that we added in here, we talked about, is a camping permit that would be available. And that would be available, I think we put
It's in
for athletic
Yeah.
only.
Right.
Is that something that we can have
Yeah.
for the cyclists just to do online, when they?
That's the
That's what we're
goal.
hoping.
We want to try and get to that point, definitely. And we just put the $5 per 24 hour. So that's something we would work
Put a
toward.
QR code under the no smoking sign to buy
Maybe,
a
yeah.
overnight permit
Yeah.
online.
We just got to work through whatever our software would allow, but we would work towards that, definitely, yeah.
Cool. I think 5 is fine.
5, okay.
Okay, so the motion would be, if once someone makes a motion, would be to amend as presented with the amendment from 4 to 5.
Okay.
Got it.
What's the ordinance number?
It is 513223.
513223. I would move we approve that ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Next up, we're going to receive a presentation from the owners of the Newton Rebels.
Man, I feel like I'm at home, thank you for your service, Mayor and Commissioners. And I really feel good at home because the voice of the Rebels is sitting in the back row. Well, past voice of the Rebels. So Really appreciate everybody giving me a chance to speak tonight. I appreciate being invited by the commission and by the city staff to come and give you a little presentation or overview of the Newton Rebels. And so my name's Kevin Pouch. I'm one of the owners and club operations manager. Chris Pate, I'd like to introduce just a couple of people. Chris Pate in the back row. Chris is an attorney, and he's actually one of the owners, and is also, he's been a player for the Rebels. He was the coach for the Rebels, and then our general manager. And then via Facebook Live, our third owner, Mark Carvalho, is currently, he was our coach and also general manager. He's currently coaching at Southwest College and actually had a team. Southwestern College, sorry.
The Mound Builders.
Yeah, the Mound Builders, and you're a alumnus.
I am.
Yes. So, very good. Thanks for pointing that out. Appreciate it. Want to be precise. Anyways, others in the room, which I think is appropriate to introduce real quickly, is actually the world champions, the 2023 NBC World Champions, owner and GM of husband and wife, Mark and Kim Blackham. So they're the current crown holders. And then also Rodney Stevenson, and he is the owner manager of the Kansas Cannons. They play out at Augusta. And then we've got Grant Jones, Hayesville Aviators, and Roger Ward is the Great Bend Batcats. So the people that are in the some of the teams that are in the Jayhawk League, and so I wanted to give just a brief history of the Newton Rebels and kind of what's coming up this year. Of course, many of you know the NBC tournament plays every year. This will be the 86th or 89th season, and this coming summer, started by a guy by the name of Hap Dumont, a Wichita businessman that started this crazy thing, 89 years ago. And the Newton Rebels from 2000 has been affiliated with the NBC Congress, the National Baseball Congress. And the team was actually started by a gentleman by the name of Carl Hodges. He's still around here. And Carl's super proud of the Rebels. He was actually, over the years, he's just always amazed at what we've been able to do and the presence that we have. And in fact, I was asking him about kind of the original team, and he said, it was originally called the NBC Newton Rebels. And I said, okay, yeah, because he was so proud of being a part of that organization. And he said, yeah, I've got a box somewhere. I'll dig out some old checks. We banked at Midland Bank, and right on the check it says NBC Newton Rebels. And I just thought, man, we need more of that history. I think it's very, very cool. Of course, the Newton Rebels played originally in the Walter Johnson League, and that was also, again, affiliated with the NBC. And so over the last few years, the Jayhawk League and the former Walter Johnson League have kind of reorganized and shifted around. And teams have kind of repositioned within those two leagues. They're basically South Central Kansas. And so the Newton Rebels continues to be affiliated with the NBC and is now a part of the Jayhawk League. So a lot of you may not realize the NBC is really a gigantic organization that spans all of North America. Some of the big names that I think is worth mentioning that have played through this organization, the NBC, are come right from Kansas, played in Kansas teams on the summer collegiate teams, like Albert Pujols played for the Hayes Larks. Barry Bonds played for Hutch. Mike Pelfrey from Wichita, he's played for the White Sox. Rod Stevenson's head coach is there for the Kansas Cannons. Phil Stevenson played for the Padres. And Roger Clemens, also another big name, played for Hutch. So, I mean, it's pretty cool, right? Right here in Kansas, some of the big names. Now, don't get me wrong, the Newton Rebels have had some of their famous guys too, right? And I'm pretty proud of the fact that, we've got many players that have played professional baseball whether it be independent league, minor league. We have some MLB players. Brent Ebinger played double A for the Cubs. Rusty Rail, Diamondbacks. Trevor Adams, Texas Rangers. Just 3 years ago, Zach Bravo, one of our pitchers, was drafted by the Devil Rays. Kenny Williams Jr., drafted by the Dodgers. And that's kind of cool because he was drafted in the first round and the overall 26th overall pick. So that, right here from Newton. And Justin Wickert, drafted by the Padres. And Dustin Richardson, born in Newton. And he played for the Red Sox, all Newton Rebels, right? So, I go over this quite brief history. It could be a lot more, but mainly to just say that and reveal that the NBC, the Jayhawk League, and the Newton Rebels has been so important to so many of these kids, these young men that have gone on to chase their baseball dreams. The Rebels have won the league 3 times in their league, have had 10 bids to the NBC tournament, which out of 23 years, so that's not too bad, half the time. We have some fans that call the Rebels the boys of summer because they show up for a couple months and they're in Newton, and but they come from all over. Again, all over from Newton, North America, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Canada. We had 4 Taiwanese guys play this past summer. So truly global presence when it comes to the Newton Rebels. Kind of cool. But what's really most important tonight, we get to the most important part, and I hate this phrase. It takes a village, right? It takes a village, and Newton Rebels survive because of the support that we have, right? The Newton Rebels has tremendous support of this community, and it starts with our host families. And our host families make a huge difference because they house these kids for a couple months. They feed them, they treat them like their family, they give them a warm place to stay in safety, they give them a connection to the community and to the family. And quite frankly, my wife and I have hosted a dozen times, and these guys are like our friends, our family. We get notices that their kids are having babies already. But Kim's got a collection of baseball. She shoves a baseball in all these kids' face and says, sign this because someday you're going to be famous. And that's our families, our host families are here. And let me just tell you, I'll mention one, and probably everybody in this room knows the Kaufmans, Brent and Michelle Kaufman. They're our longest running hosts, 20 years. They've hosted dozens and dozens and dozens of young men. So it takes the support of our host families. It takes the support of, quite frankly, the Newton Park and Recreation. 17 parks, which includes Centennial Park, that is home to the Klein Scott Stadium. The Rec Commission Superintendent, Brian Basque, has been really our #1 supporter. He rolls out the red carpet for our team and our coaches. And him and Joel Smith, they do a fantastic job. Our field is by far the best field in the league. In fact, most teams, if you talk to them, think it is the best playing surface in the league. And so other teams love to come and play here. More support, right? The city herself has done so impressive work improving the Centennial Park and Klein Scott Stadium. I mean, it truly is a baseball destination for our players and for our fans. And the fans, another great support. I love to see the Rebels gear and the cheers in the stand. I mean, it goes without saying, that. I mean, I remember the days when nobody showed up to summer collegiate baseball games, and so we really have a lot of support from the community at Klein Scott. And last but not least, the support comes from our businesses and clubs and organizations that have generously given of their time, talent, and treasure to help make these 2 decades plus go very well. The Newton Rebels organization looks forward to partnering again with our community again this season. And, to bring to Newton really the best of baseball that's being played in Newton. And, not only the best baseball, but it's, I would consider it sports entertainment, a great amenity that, people are always asking, what can we do in Newton? And so, a baseball game is really great. Well, let me just say something. So, by overwhelming request for like 10 years, maybe more, we've been asked and asked and asked. And so I'm going to tell you tonight that we are partnering with a local business, a cereal malt beverage licensed vendor, to provide our concession stand and our beer sales, and of course, with the blessing of the city and the state. But it's all good. Again, just another example how the Rebels continue to partner with our community. I think the Rebels, in fact, I gave a presentation a few years ago regarding the economic impact of the team, and I think we're going to continue to do that. I have visions of packing the stadium this year, and that's going to have a big impact. Every summer, we have parents come from all over the country to see their kids play, and they stay in hotels and eat in our restaurants, and our competitive teams that come to town also do the same. So we're gonna continue to have a very positive impact. And just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing now this year coming up, it's going to be a lot of the same kind of things. Newton Rebels, we partner with many organizations in the city. Like, for example, we have nights that we call like Hounds on the Mound. It's a collaboration where we help the Caring Hands Humane Society adopt animals. We have a night people come out. We probably have great turnout every year on Military Night, where we have the Legion Riders come out, present the colors, and we get to honor our heroes. We have Chamber of Commerce Night. Pam Stevens back there. We have Chamber of Commerce Night. They're a great partner with us. Faith and Family Night. Many other theme nights. I mean, we just do a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff, fun things for the kids. In between innings, Dizzy Bat Race. And I got to make sure to mention the dirtiest car in the parking lot. Free car wash giveaway. Compliments of Shamrock Car Wash. Anyways.
You don't get to pick your car wash.
Oh, darn. We give you the best. So, and also we do summer clinics. The ball players do the summer clinics for our Pee Wee teams, which is kind of cool. And we've actually had MLB, players come back and be a part of that. So, I didn't bring a big sales pitch. Really didn't bring a big sales pitch. Don't have a big proposal for the city. I'm not asking for any money. The city is doing your part, has done your part. We're excited about the fact that the Rebels are coming back and excited to be here. I guess the only ask I would ask is, don't you sometimes declare like certain days, or I think we should have declare Newton Rebels Day or something like that, or make Newton the pride of Newton Rebels, pride of Newton, that kind of thing. But we just really thank you guys a lot for letting me give you a quick overview, and I'll yield to questions. I mean, if you guys have some questions, or I've already taken up too much time. Good?
Thanks for the info. You bet.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, next up, item number 12, we're going to receive bids and award contract for the 2023-24 C-CLIP project. Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners, we did a rebid on this project on October 31st, and there were 3 bidders, the low bidder being APAC Kansas at $899,787.84. Remember, this project addresses K-15 from BNSF tracks to 11th Street. We pared the project down, and the Kansas Department of Transportation will be paying for $300,000 of the project. we would ask that you award bids to the low bidder as presented.
Well, we definitely hit under the engineer's estimates.
Yeah.
This is a
Third
good thing.
time's a charm.
Good work finally getting this where we can do something with it.
Okay.
I would move that we award the project to the low bidder as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that passes. Item number 13, we're going to consider a resolution authorizing a survey and description of lands necessary to be condemned for sanitary sewer easements on Cow Palace Road. Suzanne?
Yes, Commissioners, you recall that Full Vision came to the city almost a year ago requesting a sanitary sewer extension and annexation into the city. And then design work began on the sewer, and it is necessary to place the sewer outside of the Cow Palace roadway. We have acquired a few easements to extend the sewer along Cow Palace Road. And this will go from the north side of US 50 all the way down to Full Vision, which is as far south as you can go without crossing the tracks, just before you cross the tracks there on Cow Palace. We have one easement remaining that it's going to require the condemnation process for acquisition. Staff has discussed with the property owner, and it seems that negotiations have ended due to a lack of response from the property owner. Therefore, this evening, we're asking that we could move forward with the last option in order to get the sewer to Full Vision. The last option of condemnation needs to be pursued. And the city attorney has prepared the attached resolution, which is the first step in that process, and it calls for a survey of the area that we need to acquire. And if you adopt the resolution, then we would provide an ordinance for you to consider at your next meeting on November 28th. And that ordinance would authorize the city attorney to initiate the condemnation proceedings in district court through the filing of a petition, should the property owner still not choose to negotiate. Correct. Did I say it right?
Suzanne covered it great. This is just a procedural step. It's the initial step. It does not foreclose on staff's ability to continue to find a negotiation with the property owner. Again, not taking fee simple ownership, but just easement right-of-way, essentially. If you approve this resolution, we'll come back with an ordinance at your next meeting.
What's the resolution number?
G1329.
I move that we approve G1329.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Item number 14, Planning Commission, Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners, you have a final plat before you for the Newton Parks and Public Works addition. This, I think we have a picture of it even on the screen, and you have one at your seat. This went to the Planning Commission, and they approved the final plat unanimously. So their recommendation to you is for approval. If you recall, this is the new property to the city of Newton that we negotiated with KDOT for their old facility where our park maintenance staff is going to go. And because the state of Kansas does not have to follow our local rules for platting or obtaining building permits or anything like that, nothing had been done at this facility in that manner. And so we do have one additional building that we want to put on the site for it to be ready for our park maintenance staff. And in order to do that, our development rules require that it's platted. So we're going through the platting process. This is the last step in that process. And we would ask that you consider approval of the final plat for the Newton Parks and Public Works addition as presented and as recommended by the Planning Commission. I believe you need to take two separate actions. One being A, receive the recommendation, and B, consider approval of the final plat.
I move we receive the recommendation of the Newton Planning Commission for approval of the final plat.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Item B.
I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat,
I'll
or
second.
consider approval of the final plat for the Newton Parks and Public Works Edition.
I'll second it.
Second. Oh, you can have it, Rich.
But you
Okay.
have to fix it. It
Yeah, it still has my name
still
listed.
has his name on it.
Oh, we will fix that.
All right, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Item number 16, we're going to receive plans and specification for the Washington Road Water and Sewer Improvement Project and set the bid date. Suzanne?
Yes, Commissioners. I think we got a picture of this, too. The city utility lines in the area along Washington Road, just north of South 14th Street, are in need of some improvements. We're needing the extension and some looping done so that we have more reliable main lines and fire flows. And we have very small lines, and they're very old, and we are having a lot of failures in this area. And so it really causes problems when we're having to shut down lines, and we maybe don't have a valve in the right place, and we've had a lot of failures down in that area. And because the roadway is very narrow and there's high traffic volumes, it's really causing problems. So we want to improve the lines, and it's a little hard to see on this, but the dark black lines are the water mains. And then there's one small sewer line that we would like to extend to improve a piece of the main and open up a small vacant lot for development. We discussed these improvements with you and past commissions as well. And we got the plans ready to go, and since I put the cover memo out, we have received approval from the state on the water line as well. So we have all of our state approvals to move forward. We are still waiting on one final easement. We've obtained two, and we're trying to get another one. The final one, we believe, will be forthcoming. And so we would like to move forward with the water main extension and the sewer improvements. The costs for these projects is around $300,000 for the water and $125,000 for the sewer. This includes all the design, construction, inspection, staking, and testing. All of those costs are included in that total. If you choose to move forward with the projects, then we would bring bonding resolutions to you at a future meeting. And there's a possibility that we may pay for a portion of the projects out of cash. We're going to review that between now and then. And we would ask you to approve the plans and specifications subject to receipt of the final easements, and then authorize staff to set the bid date. We don't want to set a bid date too soon, not having that last piece. But if you would approve it this time of year, because of holidays, sometimes the timing gets messed up on bidding. And so if we could just move forward as is needed, if you want to approve the projects, we would appreciate that.
Well, I would move that we approve that, subject to final easements.
I'll second.
Our turn,
None.
yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 17, we're going to receive bids and award contract for the Southwest 24th Street Bridge Project. Suzanne?
Yes, we've been busy. This is the last one. We opened bids for the Southwest 24th Street Bridge Project, and remember, we discussed this previously. Bids were open on November 7th, and I know this is the bid tab's a little bit hard to read. At your September 12th commission meeting, you approved us moving forward with the repairs, which meant we were getting everything ready to go. At the bid opening, and we were surprised and had 8 bidders that were interested in the project. The low bidder was King Construction. They were still over the estimate, but staff did some negotiating with them, and they agreed to come down to the engineer's estimate. The thing that we negotiated on was timing, because this project really had 2 pieces to it. One was deck repairs, and the second was painting. And if you recall, we got to the need for these improvements based on our bridge inspections. And remember, there's load limits on the bridge. This will not take away the load limits. It will just change them and decrease the need, or actually increase what's allowed to cross. And so we'll be moving the painting in order to get this cost negotiated down. They'll start working on the bridge improvements around the first of the year, depending on weather. The expectation is to get that completed prior to the golf tournament, the big golf tournament out at Sand Creek Station. Because remember, the maintenance facility for golf is on the other side of the creek. This is the bridge that goes over the creek on Southwest 24th Street. And then the painting will be moved to the fall. This bridge we inherited from the county, and so back when the golf course was brought into the city, the property from the golf course was brought into the city, and so were the streets. So staff would recommend that you award bids to King Construction for $481,650, which is the engineer's estimate, which is where we negotiated down to. And this is a capital improvement project that we have scheduled.
Just a question real quick. When you move the painting, does that have to be rebid?
No.
Or is
No,
it just putting it off until?
It's just putting it off until the fall.
And they will be doing that?
Yes, they use a sub, as is normal in a lot of projects. You have one contractor that bids it as a prime contractor, and then they hire a sub, and their sub is going to do that work in the fall.
All right, thank you.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Next up is Citizens Forum, and the first one up is Philip.
Fellow commissioners and fellow citizens. We just got through a holiday, a Veterans Day. And I was blessed this last year, or earlier this year, when we got to plant flags on Memorial Day. And then now here we celebrate Veterans Day and no flags at cemeteries. And it seems to me that at least for the first 4 holidays of President's Day, Memorial, 4th of July, and Veterans Day, we should at least be shining the flag at the cemetery for our veterans. They fought and died for this, and we owe it to them. And I'd just like to be able to, this year, like we did for Memorial Weekend, be able to get to show our flag and our faith and trust that God has given us with citizens that gave their lives for us. We need to celebrate that and never forget them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Okay, next up is John Van Meter.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for having us this evening. I come to you this evening as president of the HOA of Covington Greens, which is a neighbor to the new Fox Ridge housing development. There were 3 homeowners met with the Planning Commission, I believe it was a week ago, expressed our concerns to the commission about the changes from R1 and R2 housing to plant numerous R3 rental properties on the development on the west side of the complex. We expressed our concern that originally the housing development was going to be R1 and R2 exclusively, except for the apartment building on the east side. But, and I understand the economic drive to more rental properties for the development, but it is a concern of our neighborhood that I guess it is our desire to stand in opposition to the proposal. The Planning Commission voted to recommend the changes to the R3 to present to you, not at this meeting, but I think at the next meeting, scheduled meeting. We do have a couple of homeowners here as well. I would ask them to introduce themselves and share if they so desire, but we stand in opposition to the R3 development. We wanted to express our desire to you before the approval was granted by the commission. Any questions that I might answer for you?
We might have Suzanne comment.
Mr. Van Meter is right. The Planning Commission did approve this at their last meeting, but there's a notification period, and so it will not come before you until at your November 28th meeting. And what's being asked of you is to change a current R1 zoning to an R2 zoning. So you will have that in your packet and for consideration at the next meeting.
Well, it's my apology. I thought it was R3 for whatever reason.
So the R2, what's the difference between R2 and R3?
An R2 would be for a duplex or twin home type development, where an R3 would be any multifamily.
Apartment complex.
I know,
The east half is already R3, but they are they were planning at some point in the future an apartment building and some duplexes, and then around the outside edge, single-family homes. What they're requesting and what will come before you on the 28th is the west half of the development. The interior of that area, they're requesting an R2 for, and then the outside edges will remain R1.
okay, so they are keeping the outside R1 because that was a negotiated thing that, to protect the existing
Yes.
homeowners that were already established from being abutted against duplexes or multifamily, that they would be,
Yes.
they would have single-family homes as neighbors, and that is,
Yes. I'm sorry, we don't have a map this
Right.
evening, but you'll have one in your packet. Yeah, that's
because that was
correct.
my understanding, and I wanted to make sure that we were holding true to that
Yes. That's,
above all else, and then we'll consider anything else, but, because,
yeah, that's what they've requested, is just the inner portion.
So are you wanting to stand against the duplexes, John?
Yes. I feel strongly that is the bordering neighborhood desire. And I suspect there'll be more homeowners here at that particular meeting for your consideration.
so with the understanding that the outside perimeter, that all new
Yes.
builds next to existing builds will be R1, you're still in opposition to R2?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I would ask Bob or Glenda, if you have any comments?
Good evening, and thank you very much for hearing us. My name is Bob Milliman. I live in the Covington Greens housing development as well. And you've considered lots of weighty matters tonight. Mine seems pretty small, but it strikes me personally, it's my home. And my property borders on Fox Ridge. I'm one of those homeowners that will be on that perimeter that you mentioned. I bought that area because it was secluded, it was quiet 6 years ago, and it was next to a golf course, and things seem to be changing rapidly. First, a big development, and now the possibility of the R2, and well, the R3 already, but the R2, more traffic, more congestion, less safety, and potentially our property value is going down as well. Things have changed quite rapidly. I know that there's a economic incentive, as John has pointed out. But I would ask you, I would object as well, even to the R2, and I would ask you that when November 28th comes around, which I won't be able to be here, that you would not accept any planning commission recommendation to expand that housing to R2, amending that original zoning decision. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay,
Thank you for your consideration.
you're welcome. So then I assume Glenda and Bob do not want to speak?
This is Bob.
That's Bob, sorry. Okay. So next up, we have Greg Yetzi from 311 Victoria.
Evening, Commissioners. I'll keep it brief here. Back in June, I was here to talk about the cost of our trash and recycling. As you all know, our trash pickup is $24.37 a month. If we choose to recycle, there's an additional $37.80 a quarter, or $12.60 a month. And for bulky item pickup, there's an additional $10 charge for each pickup. At that time, I said that North Newton's rates for trash was $18 a month and an option for recycling at $7 a month. I've checked their website. This appears to still be the case. In addition to that, there is a reserve a dumpster program that by request, an 8-yard dumpster will be dropped off at your curb for a week for no additional charge. I've also looked at Heston's trash and recycling program. Their monthly charge for combined trash and recycling combined is $18 a month. They have a $7.25 a month for an extra cart if needed, and they also have the reserve a dumpster at no extra charge. North Newton and Heston both have contracts with the Nicely Brothers. Since I was here in June, I've not heard any discussion from you about our rates and if they could be lowered by contracting to Nicely Brothers or any other trash and recycling service. Will you be looking into this for consideration, asking your staff to see if there are other options for us so that we can have lower trash and recycling rates like our neighbors?
Well, I believe we've looked at various options as we have considered our rates. So Suzanne or Donna, can you speak to this?
Several years ago, we did bid out the service and the city bid on it. I think what happens if you start looking at other communities and what their costs are, you're not always comparing apples to apples. Remembering that there are several other items that are paid for out of our trash rates. Remember that all of the big, large community events that occur, we provide trash service to those. Also, trash is picked up at all of the city facilities. We have more facilities than a smaller city would have. Our tree trimming program is also funded through the sanitation rates. So it's difficult to compare by just looking at what the monthly rate is, because our monthly rate covers multiple other things to try and keep other costs down.
Now, I understand that we might be comparing apples to oranges here to some extent. And what you had checked, I believe it was several years ago. Maybe it's time once again to go back. Maybe things have changed, that we could maybe get better rates and with other options.
Suzanne, I remember asking about this, I think 4 years ago, or roughly 4 years ago when I first started. And I just want to tell you what I learned, and I don't disagree with your assessment that it could be a little bit cheaper. But I know that I've asked a lot of my friends that live in Wichita and other places the cost, and we really don't pay. And I'm very anti-government billing on stuff. I mean, that's been 4 years of what I've said the whole time. I think our water rates are too high. I think all those things. But what I'm saying is that I've asked about the trash, and I don't think we don't pay that much more for the trash portion. We don't pay much more. My brother pays more than we do, and he lives at Douglas and Meridian in Wichita and has waste management or waste connections, one of those two. And he pays more than I pay at my house, and I get 2 cans and he gets 1. And so I can't imagine having to go to 1 can now. Somehow my family did it in the past, but I don't know if we're producing more trash or what. I can't imagine going to 1. But the biggest thing for me that I think that was the biggest realization was I live on a cul-de-sac and there's 10 houses. And if we open to services to bid, is it true that we have to pretty much allow anybody to be able to bid? We can't regulate it to one company, right?
Correct.
We've had this conversation. So in this instance, 10 houses, if 10 different companies wanted to bid or allow pick-up trash service here in Newton, there could be 10 trucks now driving down my cul-de-sac, and the wear and tear on the road is significant, where right now there's one day a week.
Correct.
There could be two trucks 5 days a week driving down. So, I mean, we might save a couple bucks, but whereas we're talking about street maintenance tonight, and that was I asked about it, and I'm just telling you that's what I discovered, and that was kind of the big thing for me was I didn't consider that part of it, that, there's one, and there's other commercial traffic that would come for, Amazon drives down our road about 437 times a week, but I'm responsible for about half of those, but, they're driving a minivan or whatever it is that comes right now, but just that large truck. I don't disagree with your assessment that it could be cheaper, but for me, it was kind of a realization to think, oh yeah, I didn't think about that part, that we have to open it up to, we can't go to Nisley and say, we want you to be our sole trash provider.
You can't?
Or we could.
I think we could.
There's a process, and I can give you a detailed
Yeah.
memo on that if you like. I'm not prepared on it.
I'm not
But
interested in it.
there are,
I mean, I'm out of here in 2 weeks, so. Or a month. I'm just telling you what I've learned. Don't worry, next meeting will be good. Come back with that.
The other one that was, I didn't realize until we talked it through and everything when we were penciling this out over the last few years, was the tangible benefit to all of those community events that they're not having to hire outside
huge.
trash
Yeah.
is huge. I mean, it would crush Taste of Newton to have to hire outside trash. It would crush Sand Creek and the rodeos and all of those that garner that benefit. Our community gets that benefit out of that and everything. And it's tough to put a number on that, you know. You'll have people that say, well, I don't go to those, so why should I have to pay for them and everything? So, but, I mean, it's complex. Trust that those discussions do come up, and they'll bubble up again in this next cycle, so.
That's all I ask, is just consider everything.
We
Try and
do.
get our, we have the most expensive trash rates, probably, I don't know if it's in Harvey County or not, but within Newton and.
At first blush, I think that
Yeah.
would be a fair assessment, but I think that the calculus is far more complex than that.
All I'm asking is just please consider your options here.
Yep,
I think it's worthy of consideration every year we talk about budget.
yep.
Thank you.
We do talk about it every year. And when, used trash equipment isn't worth anything. So if you ever get rid of it, I mean, you don't have any control then. If somebody wants to
can't
jack
come back
the
from
rates,
that.
I mean, once they got you, I mean, the rate might be low to begin with.
Yeah.
But
Will-
then you can't compete against them anymore. And if we had to buy all new equipment, I have no idea what that costs, but it'd be millions. So, but I do appreciate you
Okay, thank you.
bringing it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Pam, you're on.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here again because we have an event going on, and that's part of our contract with the city. It's called Taste of Christmas. It started last Thursday. It's kind of the Christmas open houses. So I'm going to pass you out a puzzle board. We had 40 different businesses that participated. So we're excited. It goes through Saturday, so we're excited to see. We already have 30 puzzles turned in, so power to those that were out getting them filled out all weekend. But I was out on Saturday and heard lots of great comments. There was a group from Full Vision, and they're like, thank you for doing this. We're having a great time. I think they were out with their daughters, going door to door, taking part in the holiday spirit. So wanted to pass that out. Thank you. So if you decide you still want to do it, you got time.
I got 6 stickers already. I got 6 already. I need more. You got any stickers you can hook me up with? That's hard. You gotta hit all those stores.
Thank you. And we will also be starting in December doing Deck Downtown. So we're sending out stuff I noticed some of the businesses are already starting to decorate their windows.
The
So
windows again?
yeah, doing the windows again. We'll be able to vote and award prizes to the first, second, third. Looking at a trophy that maybe there can be some bragging rights so we can get more people involved. So thank you.
Traveling trophy?
Traveling trophy, yep. So thank you for your support.
Thanks.
Just excited.
I am. I like
All
Christmas.
right, let's go around the horn. Commissioner Cry.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, I would just like to say that my husband and I enjoyed, it wasn't planned, but we got there on Saturday night at the American Legion. We got to celebrate with the veterans. It was a packed house, and what a joy it was to fellowship with them and hear many different accounts and just to honor them. They're so worthy. And then we went to the monthly senior center banquet or potluck last night. And again, that was another opportunity to honor the veterans in our senior area where they come regularly. And so that was, they were very honored. Those who attended honored them well. And then we got to hear a testimony tonight out at the American Legion from a man, Phil Plants, I think is his name, talked about his experience entering the military at the age of 18 in 1964, and he gave a very good, detailed outline of how all of that began. And he had, through all of that, he had just a real little sense of humor. It just popped up just appropriately here and there. It was really good to listen to him. So hats off to our veterans in this last few days. So that's what I have to share.
Nothing for me.
Commissioners, I would just remind you and the public that the stormwater wetlands, we will be having our grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony on November 30th. That will be at noon at the wetlands out on Southwest 14th Street. Parking is limited. There's only 15 parking spots at the wetlands itself, but both Bridges Inc. and Source of Light that are across the street have agreed for this event to allow the public to park in their parking lot. So just keep that in mind, that we will do ribbon cutting at noon, so you may want to arrive a little bit early and plan that you may have to walk across the street. And if it rains this weekend, maybe that stormwater wetlands will have some wet in it.
No, sir.
Yeah, the next time we meet, or it's going to be after Thanksgiving, so I just want to just call to mind this season of thanks. And we have some new faces that will be sitting here in a couple weeks and even on the school board. So just congratulations to those who won election, and Commissioner Karai and Commissioner Stinnett next to me here. Congratulations to both of you. So I'm looking forward to coming back and sitting in the crowd and signing up for nearly every citizen comment.
I was
I'm good at.
sure I was looking like Commissioner Cry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Valentine. I was looking at Rod when I said that, I think. I'm looking forward to
All right.
coming back and doing really good at filling up Citizens Forum time. So, just fine. Anyways, just it's Thanksgiving. I think we just need to remember that. So much to be thankful for in this
We can have
community.
you removed.
Yeah. Don't worry, I've already been talking to Chief, and he's
would
been
enjoy
keeping a
that.
list of things that he wants me to bring up in the future, so he's not. No, it's Thanksgiving, and what a wonderful season. We're so blessed.
Man.
Where I work at, our church is doing a big Thanksgiving giveaway this weekend, and man, it's just humbling to see so many people come. That's in Wichita, but it's so many people come and sit there for hours waiting for just a simple meal, for a free meal. And I know we do something big here in town at Grace Community Church through the Newton Ministerial Alliance, but just how privileged we are, to be able to serve and just be here. So it's that season.
I have a lot to be thankful for. Thankful for the opportunity to serve Newton. Thankful for all of my fellow veterans, Clint included. So thank you for your service. I would just also point out, with Thanksgiving on the horizon, if you have an empty seat at your table, invite somebody. That neighbor that you don't see too often that might be eating alone. Invite them to your table. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I would like to acknowledge all of us, all of our community. We are a very, very giving community, with the percentage of nonprofits that we have here, people who give of their time, talent, and treasure. We truly are blessed. And so I think we can all be very proud of this community and how we give. And with that,